Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. As you guys know, Bitcoin has continued to chop back and forth inside of this range, and we have been inside of this consolidation for over 2 months. We've all been waiting patiently as Bitcoin is yet to determine the direction, and so for today's video I wanted to break down exactly what we're seeing on the shorter time frames, bigger time frames, and the macro time frames so that we know exactly the direction Bitcoin's going to take. This year is set to be one of the most explosive, and it's also going to be one of the most volatile because we just started a new bull run. For today's video, I figured it was a great opportunity to actually break down the way that I think that the market structure will play out as we get closer towards the end of this year and even into 2024. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and with that being said, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, now here we are to start off today's video. Now right off the bat, I wanted to talk to you guys about this 25K level just because where we're at right now in the Bitcoin chart is truly the last line of defense for the bulls. If we were to lose this support, and if these August highs start becoming new resistance and we close back below this, then at that point I am expecting that we're going to see a big drop to the downside. And by big drop, I mean a retest all the way down to this 618. And the 618, for you guys that don't know where that is, it's $21,500. So I'm actually anticipating if we were to lose this 25K level, I'm expecting a bigger drop down to the 618, and it could go as low as the 786 if the market really wanted to get, highly capitulative. It's hard to say, I'm not trying to bet on that, but what I'm talking to you guys about is this major psychological level. We are right now on support, and over the last, 3-4 weeks, every time we've kind of hit this level, we have bounced. And even though the last couple bounces have been a little bit weaker lived, it still is closing above this level. So as it stands, this is a support and resistance flip until proven otherwise. This entire breakout here was us finally breaking out of this August high, right? And this August high, we spent, 270 days of time consolidating in here before we ended up seeing that final breakout. So this was a nearly a year-long consolidation. When we broke out, even though we've seen this correction and we're coming back down, this itself could act as a retest. And until this support acts as resistance, like something like this, then at that point we would anticipate that it's going to hold. Now, in the shorter time frames, like I've been talking to you guys about, we have closed below the main resistance. We have closed below our main support level that we were watching for, but you guys got to keep in mind that we've been watching for a couple different ones at this point. I'm going to remove this 25K level so it's a little easier to see. Now, right off the bat, this was the first range that we were watching, right? And we could see that when we came down here, even though we had these two flushes below the support, they instantly rebounded, and then we bounced to the upside here and here. So obviously this wasn't a breakdown of that support level because then the price instantly rebounded back above. Now the problem with that was the fact that after this rebound, we rejected off of the mid-range point and then we corrected back down onto the support here. The problem was when we lost it here and then sold down to this new low. Even though we got this buyback here, it was still lower lows and lower highs, and we still maintained this downtrend. So in the short term, when we're watching Bitcoin, we can see that our last support that we were watching, we're now closing below that. And so until we get a strong break back above this, reclaim it as support, I'm not anticipating that this is really going to do much. We have to get back above this first level being 26,000, and then if we could really cement a next higher high above 26.5, I think that that's really where we're going to set us in for an entire reversal to where we go to at least the mid-range point, right? And that's kind of what I've been talking to you guys about for a while now. Now the problem has been we've just been consolidating inside of this tight range. Now in the shorter time frames, in the 4-hour, this consolidation gets a little confusing because we're bouncing and we're technically making lower lows and lower highs, but we're still consolidating above this 25K level. So that's why I say that when we're getting out here to the bigger time frames, specifically on a daily time frame, we have still maintained support above this. So until we get a strong breakdown and this level acts as resistance, we should expect to see that this is going to bounce, even if we end up making another bounce off of the same level. All we're doing right now is truly cementing whether this is going to act as support or whether it's going to be resistance. And obviously you guys know that if this acts as support, I believe that it's very apparent we're going to see one final blow off top and we'll probably see something like this as we run upwards of about $50,000. And you guys know that that's been my target. If we were to see a blow off top and a completion of this move, I've been targeting the 618 of our entire bearish correction, which is going to be about $48,500. So I think that the low end targets, if Bitcoin is to hold support at 25K, I think that that sets us in for a very large blow off top to finish out this impulse. Now, I think the low end target is going to be here at $39,000. And it's all riding around what happens with this 25K level. This was our bear market bottom. This was a year-long, nearly a year-long consolidation. With us now breaking out and flipping it as support, if this truly holds as support and we're getting a reversal point, I think that it ultimately takes us in a similar direction as what we saw here, where we spent these 3 months consolidating here, we made this first breakout, and then this sell-off is where we flipped this major 6K level as support, right? It was in this move that we flipped it as support, and then that led us to this final blow off top upwards of the 618. Just because our last cycle did that doesn't mean our current cycle is going to, and we do understand that, but the psychology of the matter is very much the same, which is why I do draw to you guys the same conclusion. In the same way that, this 3200 level acted as the support before we made this big move to the 618, I think that because we bottomed here, well, I should say we had our main capitulation here in June, and then we had our secondary capitulation here because the FTX collapse. The reason I say main capitulation event being June is because altcoins being Ethereum actually maintained a higher high. The lowest low they made was actually June, and even though Bitcoin made a lower low in November with the FTX collapse, altcoins, specifically Ethereum and some of the better performing ones, they actually didn't make a lower low, they made a higher high. So that's why I say that we have a little bit of a difference inside of this cycle. Our true bottom was really June. We saw a lot of altcoins maintain support from that point. And so if we bottomed in June of 2022, we're already at basically a year inside of this entire consolidation. So with us now flipping it as support, assuming support holds, we would expect to go through a markup phase that would behave similar to kind of what we saw here. Now it doesn't have to go all the way up to the 618. It might only go up to the 382 or the 0.5. And I'm not really trying to draw with you guys exact specifics or targets. I'm sharing with you guys levels that oftentimes Fibonacci obeys and price goes to. But we don't always know if it's going to hit that. I've been drawing you guys conclusions based off the last cycle, but we don't ever know if it's going to behave exactly like the last cycle did. All we have to go off of is patterns and similarities in prior cycles. And with Bitcoin being so highly correlated to each and every cycle, being 4-year cycles, also Fibonacci levels, and a lot of different factors that we can play with Bitcoin, if Bitcoin holds this as support, I think that we do go through a similar period of markup. It doesn't have to be quite as parabolic as I have drawn, although that is what I am initially anticipating. And so when we're looking at this, I just want you guys to be aware that our last line of defense for the bulls is literally almost right where we're at. If this makes another lower low and this becomes resistance, I think that we're due for a long-term correction, and we're probably going to go all the way back down to around 20,000 or so, 21.5, 20,000, right around that level. It's not like there's some specific area that we absolutely have to hit, but that is where I would expect us to drop, and we might have to go through a long period of consolidation before we're ever at the point of rebounding again. And I don't know how long it's going to take. How I have it drawn here is too long because I'm on a weekly time frame. But, I wouldn't be surprised that if we end up topping from this point, this 25K level acts as resistance. I'm not really going to be expecting us to be breaking out until probably sometime at the very end of this year, even in the early point of 2024. But if this holds a support and we get this reversal off of this 25K level, and we kind of make this final blow off top, I do believe that we're going to be looking at a topping point sometime either late summer or early fall, and then that should take us into, kind of another one of these of some sort, a long-term correction of some kind. You guys got to remember that the bigger the move off of the lows, the longer the correction on the way back down. So if Bitcoin runs all the way up to $40,000 and even up to $48,500, we would expect to see a long-term correction, similar to 2019. And I'm not going to say it's going to look exactly the same, but the amount of time that it took from us to make the high of this move to us breaking out of that high, it was like 500 days. So that was a long time that it spent for us to ever make a new high. So if you're watching this and we end up seeing Bitcoin make this big move, I think we're much better off taking some profits in that move, just simply because of the fact I have very high confidence that says we will go through a very lengthy period of correction. And during that correction, you know, if you were able to make some profit on the run up and take some profit up here, you're going to be able to have a lot of extra gunpowder to go and buy that dip. And so that's always our big goal with us being in the early portion of the cycle. We want to compound those gains. And we also want to be able to remember that thus far, the move off the lows has been a big one, but we have a long ways to go. And so for me, I'm focused on that long term, which is why we're going to be breaking it out to a larger time frame to finish up this video here. And as we're getting into these larger time frames, I think that it's very apparent that nothing has really changed over the big pictures, right? We still have the same 4-year cycles that we've been mapping out. Nothing has really changed there. And so I don't think anything should really change as far as our big picture time. What we're looking for is an end of the year top at the end of the year of 2025. So let's go through here and draw our data points at the 4-year cycle lows, just so that we can get these in here. Now, the big thing that we need to remember here when it comes to analyzing these 4-year cycles isn't so much the 4-year cycles themselves, because we already know that Bitcoin's following these. What I want you guys to remember here is the amount of time that it's taken from the high of the move to us breaking the high of the move. Now, keep in mind that this 2011 and 2012 cycle is going to be much shorter than the average cycle, and so for this one, it doesn't really count that much, because it's not going to be a factor with what we're seeing inside of our current cycle. I don't think that we're going to see a shortened cycle when we have so much more money and liquidity into the market today than we ever did before. Now, we're getting into 2013. This is where we start to see the similar times that we're inside of even our current cycle today. This one was a longer cycle. This was a true 4-year cycle, and that's what we've seen each of the last 3, now counting our current one today. Now, from the point of us making the all-time high to the point of us making a new all-time high was about 1,250 days approximately. So you're looking at a very long period of time, almost an entire 3 years that it took before we were ever making a new all-time high. And so oftentimes, if you guys ever watched me in my videos in the last cycle, I kind of talked about a 3-year bull. And so what that means is basically year 1 is the bear market. So we get this year 1, that's the bear market. And then we go year 2 is kind of like the accumulation and our first higher high of the new trend, right? So then there's the ending. So year 1, year 2, and then we go into year 3. And year 3 is where we kind of leave accumulation, and then we end up breaking out of the all-time highs and going into price discovery. And that's why I call it kind of the 3-year bull, right? We have, it looks like a big rounded bull shape. And then that's what leads us into the blow off top into the new all-time highs, right? And so we go through these kind of multi-year processes where it takes 1 year in the bear market, 1 year of accumulation, another year to the point of us breaking all-time highs, and then the final year being year 4 is the blow off top and the completion of the 4-year cycle. And so this is something that we've seen in each of the last cycles, and I think it's important that we're drawing it today because we're seeing kind of the same sort of turning events in every one of these cycles. From the all-time high to the low of the bear market, we're actually seeing, 365 days approximately here. So this one was almost exactly 1 year. And then if we go through another year, 365 takes us to here. Draw another data point. We're looking at, once again, kind of the same formation where we get the 1 year bear market. This takes us to the accumulation and our first higher high of the new trend. Even though we got this secondary capitulation being COVID, that was a black swan that you can't predict. I don't think we're going to have another black swan event, but you really never know. Technically, we had one with all of these altcoins and the security stuff with the SEC. A lot of altcoins sold off pretty heavily, so those are technically black swan events. You can't predict those. But, I mean, generally this is still the same type of thing. 1 year bear market, the first year is the accumulation, and the new year, the accumulation and the first higher highs of the new trend. Then we go another 365 days from there. And that's basically taking us to the point of us making a new all-time high, right? And so we're seeing the exact same type of events in each one of these cycles. The only real difference between 2015 and 2017 and our last cycle was the fact that if we draw another data point for the final year being 365, we didn't see a blow off top. We kind of just ended up topping roughly where we were at inside of that year 3. So there is going to be differences in each and every one of the cycles, but the big thing is how similar each and every one of them actually is. The big things here is it's taking from the all-time high of the cycle to the point of us actually making a new all-time high. It literally takes 3 years. So the whole point of what I'm trying to cover for you guys is that we have a long period of time before we're ever to the point of making a new all-time high. Our all-time high took place here November of 2021. So if we're looking at, let's say, 1100 days, we're looking at the end of 2024 before we're ever projected to break out and make a new all-time high. So during these slower periods, as we're building the very early foundations of our uptrend, if we see a blow-off top like this, upwards of this level, take some profits, because if we go through another one of these and you get chopped the heck out, you're going to lose all of your profit that you made. And that's how altcoins work. They oftentimes reset in any of the corrections. I'm sure you've already seen that happen amongst the altcoins that you're holding today. But this is really what I want you guys to remember here. We're at a long-term game, and so in the shorter time frames, things might look a little volatile, like we don't really know what the direction is going to be on the shorter time frame. On the daily, technically we're still above this 25K level, which does give us an indication that we could actually reverse and make a new blow off top to finish out this first cycle. Or, when we're on the bigger time frames, this is a very small move on the big picture, right? So we need to keep all of this into perspective. In the 4-hour, we might not know what's going to happen. On the daily, we might think it could hold this big 25K level and make a new impulse, but we still don't have true confirmation. On the weekly, none of that really makes sense, because even if we see a deeper correction and we lose 25K, this is still just going to behave in a similar manner that each and every one of these cycles up to this point kind of has. So that's what I'm betting on. That's the way I'm playing the market. Wanted to give you guys some perspective to at least just set your sights on the big picture, on the short time frames, and all in between. So thank you all so much for tuning in. If you found value in this, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these videos. If you guys want to join the Discord server, download my free ebook, or copy all the trades that I take over this cycle, links are in the description. Go ahead and sign up on my website. Lifetime access, one-time payment. So if you guys want to be able to see what I'm doing with my money, you guys want to be able to join my private Discord, links are in the description. Go ahead and sign up. Thank you all so much. With that being said, I will catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.